Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nemeka Oberere. All over the world, development of nations, development of societies, development of regions are measured by certain defined parameters. That is why nations are categorized and stratified into developed nations, developing nations, and some even classified as third world nations. There are basic parameters that determines how a society is classified based on some level of development. We also have what we call human development indices or indicators that are used. And some of these things, if you know, the problem we have in Nigeria is that the majority of us are very, very ignorant. We don't develop ourselves. We don't devote time to study, to seek for information, and to be able to assess people based on objective parameters. We've always allowed sentiment and emotions and our ethno-religious awareness to becloud our sense of judgment. Nigeria is the only place where political bandits are celebrated because they awarded road contracts, inflated the prices by 300% and creamed that 200%. As long as Nigerians are seeing inflated bricks, road and mortar projects that the politicians have devised to steal their resources, the more they clap. And the politicians have also discovered that most Nigerians are very ignorant in terms of knowledge, and therefore they do those optics things that they want them to see. Now, we've heard about the Millennium Development Goals. We overheard about the Sustainable Development Goals, and we have heard about the basic indicators that are used to measure good governance, what the world is looking at, and what the objective parameters are. We've heard about social investments that look at education and health and the rest of them, and even infrastructure. Interestingly, all over the world, if you look at the history, if you look at the numbers, the 10 most developed economies of the whole world, in the world, their literacy level, education ranks among the best, among the top. Their literacy level is about 98-99%. Practically zero out of school kids. Their health care system top notch, their infrastructure world class, and then they have HDIs of 70, 80, 90%. But if you look at those poor countries that are ravaged by poverty and war and all those stuff, you will discover that illiteracy ranks high in those areas, and they are highly indebted. Come to Nigeria. Dave Umahi is one of those governors that most Nigerians, out of ignorance, have been parading as a specimen of good governance. Which doesn't see. I look at these things, I laugh. If you go to River State now, ask them, they say, he built flyovers. The other one built the other one. See, let me tell you this, guys. There are indicators. Go and look at the Sustainable Development Goals. Go and look at the Human Development Indicators. The Ebonyi State that Dave Umahi governed is among some of the least developed states in terms of the HDIs. If you come to the southeast, they rank bottom. Even in the whole of the south, rank bottom of the Human Development Index. I expect people to ask questions. I expect people to building of roads that leads to nowhere, building of concrete roads and flyovers is not what makes development. Infrastructure is very good. Don't get me wrong. Doing infrastructure, what is this of infrastructure? Infrastructure is done to catalyze development. When you do infrastructure with zero investment in education, with zero investment in health, all you create is a mass of sea of poor people walking along the roads that you have built. Look at Ebonyi State, and I will look at it. I will take the indicators based on the SDG. One of the Sustainable Development Goals 2030 objective is to ensure that poverty is eradicated in the whole world. Today, if you look at poverty indicators in Nigeria, national average for poverty is about 63%, Nigeria average. The Southeast average is 49%, but Ebonyi State is 72%, ranking among the Northeast states. 72 multi-dimensional poor people, 72% multi-dimensional poor people. Look at maternal mortality rate and infant mortality rate. The SDG goal is to bring maternal mortality rate down to 70 of 100,000. Ebonyi State is one of the worst in Nigeria with maternal mortality rate of 602 out of 100,000. Close to national average. Far below the other average of the other neighboring states in the south. And yet the governor governed there 8 years and is prancing around, people call him Mr. Infrastructure. Infrastructure to where? Look at infant mortality rate. The SDG goal is to reduce it to 12 out of 1,000 kids. In Ebonyi State, it is 36. It simply means out of every 1,000 kids born in Ebonyi State, 36 die between the age of 1 and 5. These are the indicators. Please fact check me. Look at out of school kids. Education. On the health, I've listed the health. And you can see clearly that Ebonyi is very, very far behind. The governor was there for 8 years. Look at education. The number of out-of-school kids in Nigeria, national average, is 9%. The Southeast average is 7.5%. But Ebonyi's own is about 16.75%. In fact, it was Ebonyi that took the Southeast average up to 7.5%. Anambra has 2.9% out of school kids. Abia has 5.1% out of school kids. Enugu has 5.8% out of school kids. The only state in the southeast that went, in fact, Enugu is 5.1%, Anambra 2.9%, Abia is 7.5%. Abia is 5.1%. Enugu is 7.2%, 7.5%. Imo is 5.6%. No, Imo is 5.1%. Abia is 5.6%. Enugu is 7.2%. Anambra is 2.9%. Ebonyi is 16.7%. In fact, it is Ebonyi's number of out-of-school kids that spiked up the regional average of Southeast 7.5% against national 9%. And yet, David Umahi governed that state for 8 years and he pranced around building roads. Access to water. National average access to water is about 77%. Access to basic water, 77%. The average in the southeast access to water is about 82%. Ebonyi is 60%. Way below the eastern region average. Anambra is 90%. Where do we even begin to? By all it, in terms of land mass, Southeast has land mass of 28,000 square kilometers. Ebonyi is one of the biggest states with the biggest land mass. Ebonyi and Enugu State have the biggest land mass in the Southeast. Imo State has 5,563,000 square kilometers. Ebonyi has 6,400 square kilometer land mass. In fact, Ebonyi has 22% of the land mass in the Southeast. Arable land that will have been used to deliver the over 16.7 million people from the over 72% poor from Ebonyi State from poverty. 640,000 hectares of arable land that could have been deployed to create billions of dollars revenue in Ebonyi State. Scientifically, using agrotech. If we have a governor who was thinking beyond building road contracts, and all those stuff. Go and look at even the debt profile of Ebonyi State. David Umahi left a debt profile of $58 million to win from, and the other 78 billion naira domestic debt. And the man is busy prancing around. And people, I don't blame him. I don't blame people like David Umahi. I don't blame people like Abelo. I blame us, citizens who don't ask questions. He built road with concrete. He built airport that nobody's flying through. But by every other HDI, by every other indicators that human beings in developed economies or developing economies, human beings used to measure development, Ebonyi comes zero last among the worst, ranking with the Northeast people. Because of a governor who prioritized building blocks rather than building lives and building human beings. If I'm the governor of Ebonyi, if I govern Ebonyi State in 8 years, just like Niger State, Ebonyi is one of the most gifted states in Nigeria. For most of you who don't understand, there is lead. Ebonyi has one of the biggest lead reserves in Nigeria. Lead used in producing battery. Ebonyi has massive limestone. Ebonyi is a granite heaven. Ebonyi is blessed by God massively. If you bring hydroform into Ebonyi, you will build bomb bricks that it can be used to develop massive housing estate. If Ebonyi State is governed by a governor that has creative mind, that has a very awesome mindset, it will be all-round prosperity for the people. But this man left heavy debt of almost about 130 billion. Left 72% poor people in his state. Left 16.7% out of school kids. Left very high mortality rate of 605 out of 100,000. And very high infant mortality rate of 36. And his business Abuja prancing around. If you ask him now, you put his shoulder up. I performed. Performed what? You don't ask questions. A man bought limousine and is driving about. He built a big mansion and his children are out of school. They cannot feed well. They can't even clothe well. They are poor. And the man is passing around as an achiever. Ebonyi State is one of the most gifted states, naturally endowed by God. All they need is a governor with a creative mindset like Emeka Oblere, and you will see how that state will turn into an oasis of prosperity. Thank you.